You are now listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc, sharing insights through real, honest, and practical ways to improve your communication and relationships. Featuring your hosts, Dr. Pamela Kreiser, Meredith Edwards-Nagel, and Teighlor Polindo.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking about beige flags today. Who knew? Some of you are wondering what that even is. We're going to get into it with our special guest, Sammi Sanchez Gomez. So welcome, Sammi, to AFAF with TalkDoc.
Thank you. Super excited.
We're glad to have you here.
I'm excited to hear about all your beige flags and what you think it is or isn't.
I feel like that means you think we have a lot of them.
Honestly, no. I actually don't think I believe in beige flags after reading a lot of this. Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, maybe you can help us understand, just to start off, what in the world are these beige flags?
For sure. So beige flags, first and foremost, it's extremely new. It actually got coined by MacPhail, and she was on TikTok last year and was originally talking about signs that you're probably very boring, hence beige flag.
Okay.
So that includes having an opinion on whether or not pineapple belongs on pizza, whether chocolate or sauces belong in the fridge or the cupboard. Any references to like mainstream sitcoms, so like The Office, Friends, that 70s show. Yeah, that's
Teighlor,
quite
we're
a
so
bit of people,
beige.
for sure. And then any mention of spreadsheets, like if you use Excel spreadsheets in your job, that I guess would coin as a beige flag.
Whoa. I'm feeling triggered right now, Sammi.
I know. There's a lot to be triggered, for sure. But beige flags, according to her, were meant to narrow down who was boring and who wasn't on dating apps. So it's meant to be used for single people. She actually did a whole series and still does it, and I did a huge, deep rabbit hole dive on her account. And basically what she does is she uses TikTok and gets random submissions of people who submit their Hinge accounts or other people's, their friends, their family, their Hinge accounts, and sees if there's any beige flags in the account.
So it's like her job to detect
I
beige
guess
flags.
so, yeah.
Who knew that was a job?
I know. I would have never thought of it, and I actually did stumble across her TikTok, the original, last year, but I didn't know what it was, so I didn't really give it much thought. After doing that huge dive on her TikTok, I found that she has a scoreboard for the dating accounts.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So it's basically a 3 strikes, you're out type of deal. Okay. So 3 beige flags, and just redo your whole Hinge account. 3 beige flags, redo the whole thing. Don't even bother.
And that's a dating app, right? Hinge.
Hinge is a dating app, yeah.
That wasn't around when I was single.
Since all three of us are married to our partners, we don't usually use those accounts.
Right. I would hope not. Yeah.
Scandalous.
I mean, I'm not saying, I guess I'm saying I don't.
So you're speaking for yourself.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying I don't.
Okay. Well, I guess TalkDoc claims to not use that.
Yeah.
But she does a lot of stuff, so the scoreboard is one. And what qualifies as a beige flag on a Hinge account is basically having, for example, a man will have photos of himself with his friends at Stagecoach, Coachella, and having too many of each of those will count as a beige flag.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty odd.
So how are you boring? You're boring because you only have one kind of photo?
Yeah, so a lot of them have maybe multiple of them sharing a beer with their friend. That counts as a beige flag. The last one that I saw was actually her going through a Hinge account. And the girl's first photo was her by herself, and that's a green flag. Good points. Green flags in terms of a dating app, not in terms of relationship-wise.
And that's green because she can be fully herself, right? It's like a confident play.
Well, it's a green flag because a lot of people may put themselves with other people as their first photo on their dating app profile. Okay. So you can't tell whose profile you're looking at if there's more than one person. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Green flag that she's by herself in her first photo.
So glad I never have done this.
It's
just
a
so incredibly
world
thankful
to navigate.
Yes.
So first photo is that she's doing well, and she has a cocktail with her. Too many cocktails equals a beige flag. I guess drinks are boring, because a lot of people do it. So to her, that's a boring beige flag. And
no offense to this person who started doing this, but is this kind of like, maybe like a little bit mean girl tendencies, like just rating people? Like, do you remember
I
it?
can totally see this on a new Mean Girls, like, present day, you know?
On
Let's
like
check her profile.
Is this a kind gesture that she's helping people out, or is this just kind of hypercritical mean girl status? Do you remember Meredith at school, the guys who would hold up ratings as you'd walk by?
Oh, no.
They did that at our college campus. I was like, this thing's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
That's definitely
it is.
weird. Yeah.
Is that
That's
kind
a
of what
red
this
flag.
Is? That's a red flag.
Yeah.
So I guess I wouldn't necessarily call it mean girl tendencies just because they're voluntary. Like, people submit these accounts.
Like, help me
to
out.
her.
Tell me how I'm coming across to
I
other
don't
people.
think you're like, yeah, I guess so.
That's what they're asking.
Yeah, they want like an upgrade. They don't want to come across as boring.
Okay.
So Teighlor, when you develop your Hinge account,
yeah,
you can
I'll
go to
submit
this
it to her.
person as a consultant.
Help me not be boring.
I feel
Okay.
like AI is going to do this for us soon.
Oh, for sure. It definitely will.
Yeah.
You can probably tailor it to however you want. Like, don't be boring, be more active. I don't know, but that's what she's been doing. But here's the definition that's taken over TikTok.
Right.
The definition that's taken over TikTok, which I first found out what it was something that's neither good nor bad, but makes you pause for a minute when you notice it, and then just continue on with your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically a little quirk.
Okay. So something weird.
Yeah, something weird. And that's what I knew it as. That's more of what I believed it to be.
Mm-hmm.
The boring could quite literally be anything. It's all very subjective.
Right. So it's not good or bad.
It's not good nor bad. It's just boring. Basically, the difference between her definition and this one taken over by TikTok is one is for single people and one isn't.
Okay.
But I believe the TikTok one can also be applied to relationships with family, with friends. It's more something that you have to know this person very well in order to know their beige flags. So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
My boyfriend, before he leaves the house anywhere, he has to make some sort of dad joke.
Oh.
So...
Is he a dad?
No, he's not a dad.
Not that we know of.
Not that we know of. But from my knowledge, he's not a dad.
Savage.
We'll talk later about that clip.
Yeah. But basically what he says when we leave the house is, let's make like a baby and head out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make like a tree and leave.
Dad jokes.
Yeah. So that's his beige flag. That's something weird and quirky about him.
Okay.
On the other spectrum of her definition, what he does is that he's obsessed with baseball. Now, to most people, that might be really boring, but he's constantly, like, room decorated, decked out baseballs, bobbleheads, frames, everything baseball. He constantly has a game running. He's on Twitter looking up stats. He's on YouTube watching a separate game or video. And that would be like a boring beige flag to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But he's doing all of these things at the same time. So that could be another quirk. There's like no definite line of what a beige flag is. And that's what I think makes it so complicated.
Sure.
Because
like,
to
you
one
don't
person,
really
those
know.
jokes could be like the cutest, funniest thing, and they would love it. Somebody, you know, right? Like,
And if you're a major baseball fan, you're like, oh man, I wish I was that cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's-
All right, so I got a question for you, Sammy. So what's the difference between somebody watching baseball and all things baseball all day versus someone just watching Legally Blonde over and over? Like, is one more beige?
Honestly, I would say no. I would say that probably falls under the same category. You're just obsessed with something. I think that would fall under more of an obsession, which would come across as quirky to some people. So that would be considered a beige flag, I guess.
So where do these become yellow? Do they
That's a
go
good
from
question.
beige to yellow to red? Like, is
That's
that
a good question.
thing?
So I definitely think that some beige flags can be considered yellow or red, but I don't think a lot of red flags can be considered beige.
Okay, so unpack that
I would
for
say
us.
no red flags can be considered
Yeah.
beige. Because isn't the premise what you defined is it's sort of like this pause. It's not good, it's not bad, it's that, then you can keep going with it,
Right.
right?
It's
Hopefully,
not a deal breaker.
hopefully red flag is a deal breaker.
Exactly. It's a deal breaker, but beige flags aren't a deal breaker.
Okay.
So I'll unpack that. I actually have an example that I saw on TikTok. My boyfriend's beige flag is that he's scarily good at gaslighting people about small things. He once convinced an entire group of people that mice use echolocation and that they would have gone on believing him if he didn't tell them it was a joke. He admits to it every time, and it's always just a silly little bit, but it's sort of terrifying how good he is at it.
Interesting.
See, that beige just turned yellow.
I mean, I can see how somebody likes to just like be a trickster and trick people, and then
Right.
they get really into it, and that's funny. But also, the point is this person bringing it to light because they're noticing their partner, the person they're dating, is a good liar.
Yeah, right.
Which,
So
if you know
are they
Teighlor
lying?
in this podcast, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Although, like, perhaps they're just working on their persuasive skills. So if he's
That
just
is
trying,
disgusting.
if like we learned so much about that in comm, the different orators. Who was it? Gorgias. He thought as long as your speech sounded good, it didn't matter what you were saying because you could get people to do what you wanted. And so
Wow.
really, this person
Taylor,
is
I don't know you.
being smart and
I
just
don't know you.
trying to find the sheep and see if he's a wolf. And I don't know.
Wow,
Yeah,
calm
just trying to
down.
find
All
red.
All red for
Turned
me.
red. I turned red.
What do they say is after the red is an air raid siren?
Oh, God.
Where it's like so red that it just is like a siren. Like
Yeah.
everybody take cover.
You ever play those games where you have to lie? Two Truths and a Lie, Mafia. There's some board games. Kind of sounds horrible, but it's called Secret Hitler. And if you're really good at this
Yeah,
game,
we
the
should
point
not
is to
put that
kill
in this
Hitler.
episode.
It's a good game. You kill Hitler. It's okay.
Oh, okay. It's a good game.
But the game is
So
like
glad I added this.
honestly my favorite game. How can you?
Wait, that one's like Mafia, right?
Yeah, it's like Mafia, but it's more
Okay.
interesting because you don't die right away. There's way more parts to it.
So you suffer before you
But
die.
people would complain. They're like, well, they're really good at that game. Like it was a bad thing. Like even though the game is to lie.
I'll admit I'm really good at that game. Mafia, not
So
killing Hitler. Never done that. But
Wow.
Mafia
So,
for
Sammy,
sure.
Check it
did you ask your boyfriend what your beige flag was?
I actually have gotten a few.
Okay.
Nice.
Would you like to share them with the
Sure,
audience?
of course. Yeah, I
Yeah.
only put appropriate ones on there.
No, we want them all.
We want the inappropriate ones first.
Okay.
No.
I don't have that many inappropriate ones. I would consider myself a stand-up person. My first one is that I have the same lunch every day.
Okay.
My boyfriend, when I asked him what a beige flag was, he thought it was something boring.
Okay.
So that was one, having the same lunch every day. It's salmon and rice. It's my lunch every day. And a quirky one, which my best friend told me about, she defines it as something quirky. She said that my beige flag is when she goes into my room, it's really clean. And sometimes I'll ask her, can you get me that from the closet? Can you get me this shirt? Can you get me this pair of pants? She'll open my closet and she'll be like, absolutely not. I can't get it. It's messy in there. Like when when I say mountain of clothes, I'm not kidding. So that would be
you just
my,
throw it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's gotten to the point
So
where
like a
it's so
closet
overwhelming.
slob.
Yeah, yes. I am a closet slob. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beige
Yeah,
flags.
I'm curious to hear people's beige flags.
I sort of thought about it more from the weird
Right.
side. Something that's weird versus boring. So like I keep my butter in the cabinet, not in the fridge.
because you're
Yeah,
smart.
that's weird.
I just keep it on the counter. You mean, people like to refrigerate it?
More people than not like to refrigerate it.
Yeah, I
And
refrigerate
it's
mine.
not spreadable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we do the podcast together.
Okay, so we're
I had no idea that was the
and,
thing that-
the guest is like,
This
put it
is
in the
what
fridge.
brings us all together.
Yeah, this is finally we found it. The linchpin for the podcast is butter.
Oh my god, I love it.
No.
Where do you
that's
put yours,
gross.
Sammy? In the
The
fridge?
fridge.
Yeah, like the general population.
Yeah. That's the right way to do it.
So I got one. My husband brushes his teeth with not cold water, so warm or warmish with toothpaste, and I really am a cold toothpaste brusher.
See, that's for sure a pause and continue on.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, that's warm, like almost hot water.
Oh, I side with B.
Wait,
No.
Taylor's a warm toothbrusher too? What the
Because
heck?
if you have sensitive teeth, you can't use the cold water. It hurts.
Oh my god!
I-
Really?
I go warm as well.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
in general, I just think I'm always the weirdest. So I'm like, I don't think I'm boring. I'm super weird. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, what do you got, Tay?
No, well, I have a few questions.
Besides the warm
Number
toothbrush.
one, how dare you?
thing.
No, so like hearing you describe this makes me, one, feel really old, and two, think back to a decade ago when I was single, and it kind of sounds like what you're describing is what I used to say is basic. And we would say like, oh, you don't want to be basic. And people who watch these movies, you're so basic if you do this. That's kind of one understanding. I'm like, oh, I try not to be basic. But on the other hand, the weirdness, I'm super weird. So if we're going with the quirk thing, I'm very, very beige. And if it's the basic thing, I try not to be. My husband said that I'll ask for his attention. Like, hey, Ralph. But I don't expect him to give it to me right away. So I'll keep doing something and he'll give me his attention and then just wait on me. And it drives him nuts. He's like, yeah. And I'll just repeat like 2 words because then I actually have to think like, oh yeah, what was I saying? And I get lost in my train of thought. And so I'll just say, hey, Ralph, do you? And he's like, do I? I'm like, oh, I don't remember what I was going to ask you. Hold on. Let me think about that a second.
That was an example that I had.
That was one of yours?
Yeah. It was a TikTok example. But basically, anytime this guy's girlfriend starts a conversation, she will never remember what she was trying to get to. And that was her beige flag. So same
Seems
thing.
yellow.
It seems yellow?
I think because you don't have proper communication.
Oh,
Like
no.
you just have big communication gaps, Teighlor.
I think I just need to stop fubbing and put my phone down and have the conversation.
Yeah,
That's what I
putting the
actually
phone
think I
down
need
would
to
help.
do. Yeah.
All right, so I researched some different flags, and I had a friend of mine tell me a beige flag that he did that happened on his first date with who became his wife.
Ooh.
So
She
he
stuck
said to
around.
me, we went out for ice cream after our date, and I ordered apple pie ice cream with chocolate mint.
Ew.
And she thought, is this guy weird? So she had to go on a few more dates to kind of buy in and go, I don't know if I care about that or not. He said in retrospect, he did think it was weird, but when he was picking the flavors, he just thought they both seemed good, which they
That's
are
so
good by
random.
themselves.
Not together.
No, not together. And if they run together, I don't know how that works out. I don't think it does.
No, but that's a good beige flag.
Yeah. I had a friend who used to come over to my house and go to every bathroom and change the toilet paper so it would roll over, not under. And she would go in every bathroom.
What?
Yeah, I don't know if she's listening, but I hope you're listening.
Wait,
You know
like,
who you are.
she would walk into someone's home and go into each of their bathrooms?
Yes,
Or just
and-
every bathroom that she used, she would do this in?
Well, I don't know if I know that. I know that she stayed with me sometimes, so she would for sure go in every bathroom and
Okay.
make it to rolling over, not
I mean,
under.
at least you changed it to the correct way, but
So I was thinking that one was beige.
yeah, I asked my husband this too. He said, I don't know. He's like, you really like to do laundry as a chore, but then you like take a day to put it away. He's like, he's like, but it's your laundry, so it doesn't bother me. He says, but sometimes it'll be a couple days. And he's like, and I'll ask you if this is dirty or not. And you're like, no, it's clean. I just haven't put it away yet.
I do
Okay.
that.
Ralph told me it's me putting a bunch of stuff at my feet in the car. I was like, that can't be one because that doesn't affect you. And he's like, it's so weird. It drives me nuts. I'll just put a ton of bags and just like be squashed. And he's like, do you want me to put that in the back? I'm like, no, in case I want
Oh
it,
my
like during the
gosh.
drive. I
We
just
do
want
the
it
same.
here. But I'm like, how is that annoying to you? That has nothing to do with you. And actually it helps you because then I offer you snacks and here's
Yes.
some water bottle. And let me get this for you. It's all right here in my little cubicle.
Wow.
Oh, same, Taylor, same.
Thanks, Mary.
Bag ladies.
Whatever. Butter. That's what keeps us together.
Okay, so I got a question for you, Sammy. Based on your research, do we break up over these?
No, definitely
No.
not. No. But
So what do we do with them? Like, how do we go? How do we
move
go
on.
deal with the hot water?
Move
You know,
on.
You move
Okay.
on. It's not a deal breaker. It's not something that makes your relationship either. You just kind of weird, move on. But
So moving on meaning tolerate.
Yeah, I guess if it's
Like you go,
annoys
Taylor's got
you,
100 bags at her
yeah.
feet, and we're just going with that.
Yeah, he's gonna have to roll with the punches like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say if you're seriously considering breaking up with someone over a beige flag that's really not that big a deal, then maybe you need to check
yourself.
check yourself, or like, what's it called when you're like, I have these, somebody's like, these are the things I want in somebody, and it's like, and if they have too many bags at their feet, then that's just going to do it for me. It's like, okay, you have beige flags too. Get it together.
Yeah.
So if you're contemplating breaking up over a beige flag, the answer is to check yourself and check your flags.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone has beige flags. We're all human and weird. But I think it's really interesting because sometimes it bleeds into ick culture.
Mm-hmm.
The ick culture is basically a turnoff. So I don't think beige flags can qualify as icks. Ick is something that happens when maybe you might just be a little too annoyed with this person, and then something they do or something they wear now becomes an ick. So, for example, one of my friends, she was dating this guy, and it was getting towards the end. She was getting annoyed with kind of everything that he did, and one thing that she just kept nitpicking at was the way that he parted his hair. She's like, oh, that's such an ick. I can't do it anymore. It's just an ick. The way he parts his hair is awful. I hate it. And he would like part it on the side. So I think sometimes it bleeds into ick if you're really that nitpicky.
Does that mean you have like a flag buildup?
Yeah, I would say so.
So I had a couple beige flags, but now I've got like a box full of 100, and you parted your hair weird, and we're done.
Yeah.
Sammy, have you ever seen Daniel Sloss, the comedian? He's on Netflix. There's 2 videos.
I don't think so.
No, you got to check him out. He jokes about. He's a comedian. He talks about relationships. Daniel Sloss. He's a Scottish guy, and he talks about like when you're near the end of a relationship, you're like, oh, you get to the point you're like, I hope they just like, I don't know, lie to me, so it's a reason to break up with them, and then you stay, so then all these things happen, and you're like, if you pour orange juice like that one more time, I swear to God, like it's like this whole, you create ick for no reason just to escape something instead of just leaving something you don't want to be in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
Okay. Here's my question. Are we becoming too critical?
Yeah,
I hear people complaining about the dating field and all this stuff, but if we're literally getting upset about people's preferences that have no repercussion on you, like what is this hyper focus on the things that make people individual?
Right.
That's what I was trying to get at, Taylor, about the like check your own flags. If you're obsessing over this thing, it's the hyper criticism.
There's a difference between standards and being too critical. You shouldn't be too critical of someone, but you can have standards.
What's the difference between a standard? Can you do like this is my standard, and this is like baseball on every video camera and dad jokes before I leave the house?
Standard for me personally would just something as basic as being motivated in things that you do.
Okay.
I think being too critical would be like something that Taylor said. You're just being extremely nitpicky, which then leads you to that box of 1,000 flags. It doesn't matter what color they are.
I was just thinking when I hear standards, I kind of hear boundaries. I have a standard of being talked to a certain way. Actually, my boundary of how someone speaks to me. That's what I was kind of hearing.
Yeah.
A standard that you don't smell bad.
Oh, God.
Love that
like
standard.
there are some... Yeah, I think we can all agree upon there are some standards to our socializing.
For sure. Well, I'm going to give you a few other beige flags.
Go.
Okay.
And we can see whether or not this accounts for a boring beige flag or a quirky
Are you
beige
trying to
flag.
give Taylor and I a quiz right now?
It sounds kind of like it. I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I actually am.
Oh, snap!
I turned the
Okay.
tables on you guys.
Let's do it.
Okay, so can't walk around the house without shoes on.
And what's the question?
Is it beige?
Is it boring beige or is it quirky beige?
Quirky.
Okay.
Yeah, quirky. Yeah.
And it's
Awesome.
subjective, so there's not really a wrong or right answer.
So I'll win, right, Sammy? Because you like me better, or like how does
Only
this work?
if your conflict style is competitor. Then.
Oh, then Taylor's your best friend. You win.
Yeah, it's Taylor.
Okay. After working out, acting like they can't fit through the doorway for a solid hour because they're too big.
That is the weirdest quirky.
It's pretty quirky.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna do this though, so thanks for that.
Is that mostly men?
It came from a
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Or
Okay.
you're too swole? Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're too small.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, that got me. Okay.
Okay, preferring Pepsi over Coke.
Both poison.
Boring.
Super boring. That's the right answer for that one.
Teighlor.
Putting their parents' contact info on their phone by their full name instead of mom and dad.
Ooh, that's an ick. That's what that is. What?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you, but I'd still say that's just a quirk. That's strange behavior.
Okay.
I know people that do this, but it's strange.
It is really strange. Okay. Hating to match with other people. You would rather go home than match with other people.
I just want to know who that person is, and I want to match with them every chance I get. Is that a beige flag of me?
You can match with my sister.
I'm gonna say that's a quirk.
Okay.
That's a quirk. But I have a question. If your partner is matching you, do you make them change or do you go out matching?
Oh, make him change.
I tend
100%.
to laugh it off, but then usually make them change.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You got another one?
Yeah, I have a lot.
Oh, let's do it. Bring it, Sammy.
Can't lay in bed with outside clothes. This is controversial.
I
What?
just spent the day outside. Don't get in my bed. That's nasty.
Okay. Yeah. So let's say you're wearing your work clothes and you go to bed. You lay on your bed.
No,
Yeah, you gotta change.
that's a yellow flag.
It turned yellow. Okay.
You just brought up a beige flag in me. I hope my sister listens to this, because this is her beige flag, and I think I did it to her. But our towels that we use, like for the shower, the tag must be at the bottom, because you dry your face first. It's like a whole thing. Tag goes at the bottom every time. Every
See?
time.
People are weird.
Thanks.
I know someone
like
who's
She's
weird.
calling
that.
you weird. Yeah.
I've literally never considered where my towel placement is.
I like weird. I'm gonna stick with it.
It's exciting. Okay, I have some other ones. One of my roommates on study abroad would add sound effects to every conversation. So, TikTok sounds, air horns.
Are
It's
they
a green
5?
flag. They are super interesting and are vocally talented. Green flag.
I'll get a name on that later.
College toddler. I love it.
That was her, college toddler.
This is like
Well, I'm
how
sure she'll
picture.
listen.
I picture my nephew being like this as an adult.
Yeah.
Hit us with like one or two more. I want to hear some more.
Okay, my girlfriend's beige flag is that she refuses to delete any of her old alarms or make new ones that make sense. You need to get up at 9? Nope. Last one she had was 9:03 and we're sticking to it.
I love it.
That's hilarious.
Alright, my girlfriend's beige flag is that she replaces various objects with rocks that look like them, so I get tricked into using it and looking stupid. For example,
She's
bar
so
of
awesome.
soap.
Oh,
She's hilarious. Another green flag.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
Wow. Yeah. Green flag for me all day.
what about someone who wears sunglasses indoors or in every photo?
I think it's kind of funny as a joke, but if
Okay.
it's serious, it's pretty weird.
Because I'm wondering, what would Brene Brown say to that person? Hey, do you have a vulnerability problem with those sunglasses?
Yeah, I can't do eye contact, probably.
I don't know. Or it's beige. Like, that's what's kind of interesting about this.
It sounds like depends why they're doing what they're doing, right?
Mhm.
Is the obsession just like a silly thing about you or a boring thing about you, or is it affecting other people negatively? Because having snacks is a positive. Might bother you to look at it, but you get a snack.
So
I
then,
think
is the
that-
distinction, Meredith, that how we're vetting it is, does it only affect me or does it affect us?
I think with these, it's always good to turn inward and see, like, what is your motivation? If someone's bringing something up to you, like, why do you do that? I think it's fair to just question yourself. Like, is that a healthy reason I do it? Is it a neutral? Or is there, like, some unhealth in there? Am I doing that because I need people's approval? Am I doing that because I can't be in a room and not be on my phone? Or I have to always have a screen next to me, whether it's baseball or whatever it is. And you could always just turn inward and ask yourself, like, what is the motivator here?
So then, let's say you only eat pizza with the fork. right? That's your beige flag. So then the question, to your point, Teighlor, it would be, do you do that because you have like an OCD weird thing about touching anything?
Sure.
Or do you do that because that's just how you like it?
Because that's your preference. If it's just a preference and it doesn't hurt someone else, I say
Keep
go
it
for
moving.
it. Yeah. But
What do you
yeah,
think,
but if
Sammy?
it's triggering something, then maybe we need to talk to someone or...
Yeah, I think it's probably best to say that if it's not affecting people in a negative way, because it might be funny to some people and it might be adding to a conversation or adding to just your character and like how funny you are or silly or whatever. But I don't really think it's a bad thing unless it's affecting someone else negatively. Yeah. If it's affecting me, if something were to affect me, that would be considered a beige flag. I probably would just address it first, see if there's any solutions for that.
Okay, so let's talk about this then. So you're saying we talk about beige flags. Because how we talked about it before is like we observe it and we're like,
I don't think most of them need to be talked about.
Okay, so a bunch we don't talk about, but what about the ones that we do? What would be a productive conversation about a beige flag? What would need to happen to call that productive? Well, I have an
Or just in
example that
general.
I read. I don't know where it
Okay.
came from, but that doesn't matter. That one partner says, hey, you always announce every time you're using the bathroom, whether I need to go or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this person approaches their partner saying, hey, you don't need to do it unless you think I'm going to be using the bathroom or something like that. And my question is, do we need to do that? Do we need to actually like call them out and have the conversation? And if so, what would be a good conversation to have?
What if you
See, this is-
perception checked it and you said, hey, I notice you always announce when you're going to the restroom.
Always.
Is that because you're trying to give me a heads up so I can use it before you? Or you're just trying to be considerate? What's going on for you?
That was nice,
Did I learn how to
Taylor.
perception
Taylor.
check?
You did learn how to perception check. Wow. Incredible.
Snaps.
I like that. Part of what I'm getting at is, in order to call it productive conversation, are we requiring that you stop doing that things? If I approach Teighlor about all the bags that she's got around her feet on our road trip, and at the end, you don't really change, should that conversation happen?
See, this is maybe separating a period of life for me. Me in college, in communication, would be like, yeah, have all the conversations, all of them, all of them. Like, we have to talk about everything.
Okay.
And I don't dislike that version of myself. I'm grateful for that period of time. I think there is a season for things. But
Yeah.
now, like, as I'm in my 30s, I'm just like, not everything needs to be talked about. Just let it go. Like, I would say, for me, I laughed at it early on in dating, but Tommy can't be bothered when he gets home because he has to put his keys in his wallet in the place that they go. Doesn't matter how bad he has to pee. Doesn't matter what's going. Like, they must go in their place. And I was like, "You're so weird." And he was just like, "Okay, leave me alone. Like, I like to be organized, you know." Now I'm just like, "There's no point in having that conversation. Just let the man put his stuff away, and it's fine. It takes like 5 seconds out of my life. I don't see a point in having some of these conversations personally, unless you just want to giggle with each other or your friends about how
Yeah.
boring and quirky you are. Then I like it. Then you know what? Let's talk about butter out all day. Sammy's the weird one in this room with the butter in the fridge.
Well, I
don't
feel like
think
after
that.
this episode, I feel like she's going to put it on the counter.
She
Just
says
try it
no.
out, like
No.
in the cupboard. There's places for it. You can put a cover over it, keep the
Why
flies
there's a
out of
butter
it. You know,
dish?
No.
right? No. Okay.
It's going to be a hard pass for me. On that
Well,
one.
see, in this room, you're the beige flag in that area.
You know what? I'll take
In the
it.
general
Please.
public.
So then I think, Teighlor, based on what you talked about, that there's an option to do a perception check and say, I've noticed this behavior, I've noticed this flag, give interpretations, ask for clarification. I hear you, Meredith, saying, hey, but also let's let go of a lot of those and maybe never talk about them. But then I also heard you, Teighlor, talk about that you've talked with your partner about a couple of these things and you just realized that they're there and that's it.
I think these are the things we're going to miss if we're not with our partner anymore. Like, it's the little weird stuff. They're like, oh, remember how they couldn't go in a car without being, like, filled to the brim and their feet? There was no space for them to actually sit in the seat. I like all
That's a
the
good
quirks,
point.
and I like talking about them, but Mary, I 100% agree with you, and I think it's because of the stage we're in. We don't really have time to have those conversations right now, and I think
Good
that's
point.
just this season for us. If you don't need something from me, like, why are we even talking about this? And I think that's just where we're at right now.
Not enough
Fair.
time.
I also think a lot of beige flags don't need to be talked about.
Yeah.
90% of them, they're just supposed to be funny.
I like
makes
that.
sense.
I
It's
like
a
your
trend.
approach, Sammy.
I feel like people listening, you could be thinking you've got a better one, and you might need to write us at hello@afafpodcast.com.
Send us a message on Instagram too, so we can post how beige you are.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes, please do that.
I'm sure there's beiger than that.
Beiger. I'm gonna go with that.
Beiger.
Beiger.
If my husband tells me
Beigest.
something next, like something weird I do, I'll be like, you know what? You're beiger than me.
You're the beigest.
My bae is the beigest.
Oh no.
I'm so
Sammy just
sorry.
oh no'd me. Okay, I think we're done. Okay.
All right.
That's our cue.
I love it. So
Sammy,
good
thanks so
having
much
you.
for being here on the podcast with
Thanks,
us and for
Sammy.
giving us all that insight. We needed the TikTok experts, so we
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
keeping us
Hey, you're
current.
welcome.
I know.
You guys only scratched the surface. But we'll get to that.
Okay. I like that.
Once again, thank you for joining us today. Please remember to rate, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And thank you for listening to Asking for a Friend.
Let us know what you thought of the episode. Our email is hello@afafpodcast.com. This show is for educational purposes only and is copyrighted. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting. Thanks for listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc.